You're watching the Global Business Report this Thursday, the 5th of February. Let's continue the conversation here in Nigeria. Dangote Refinery and Petrol Chemicals has firmly denied reports suggesting that the company imports finished petroleum products, describing the claims as incorrect and based on a misunderstanding of global refinery operations. The company stated that as a state-of-the-art, large-scale merchant refinery, it refines crude oil and processes intermediate feedstocks into premium petroleum products and petrochemicals that meet the highest international standards. Speaking during the media briefing at the refinery complex at Ibejuleki, Lagos on Wednesday, the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director, David Bird, explained that processing intermediate or semi-processed materials was a standard practice within the global refining industry. He clarified that this practice does not amount to importing finished petroleum products. In the meantime, the International Monetary Fund has said Nigeria may emerge as Africa's third largest economy, with a gross domestic product projected to hit $334 billion this year, displacing Algeria in North Africa. With a GDP of about $285 billion at current prices, Nigeria emerged fourth in Africa, trailing behind South Africa, Egypt, and Algeria in 2025, according to the fund's World Economic Outlook for last October. The IMF linked Nigeria's anticipated economic rise to increased oil production, better foreign exchange liquidity, and the effects of ongoing economic reforms, including fuel subsidy removal, exchange rate liberalization, and fiscal adjustments, all of which are aimed at supporting medium-term growth despite short-term inflationary pressures. Still at home, the federal government has discontinued the use of corporate tax credit to fund road construction, insisting that such projects must go through the proper appropriation process. The disclosure was made by Zak Adedeji, Executive Chairman of the Nigeria Revenue Service, during a joint sitting of the editorial boards of This Day in Arise News on Wednesday, according to This Day newspaper. The decision signals a shift from the previous road infrastructure development and refurbishment investment tax credit scheme, which allowed big companies to fund federal road projects using tax credits. Arise business analyst Chika Mbonu joins me now from our Abuja studios to discuss the three big economic developments. Good morning. Great to have you. Good morning, Mr. Chika Mbonu. It's good to have you on the show. Okay, I guess we got to reconnect with Chika Mbonu, Arise business analyst there at the Abuja studios in just a moment to evaluate the Dangote impact story, the Road for Tax Credit project in Nigeria. We'll be right back in a minute. You're watching Global Business Report. All right, sitting with me from Abuja studios this morning is Chika Mbonu, Arise business analyst, discussing the evaluation, the impact of Dangote Refinery, public statement around imported refined product, as well as tax for road construction. Let's get started. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Boston, how are you today? Good morning.
You're sitting down. Not dressed a bit more like an SAN if you just get a black bow tie, but that'll be interesting. Looks like that. You're ready for the business as always. And of course, we're discussing three big macroeconomic issues here, so I'm sure you understand. So I can understand your dress sense for today. The public denial by Dangote Refinery around imported finished product claims. Give me your take on that. What are the technicalities that the ordinary man needs to understand? Facts and fiction.
Okay. Bosun, thank you for having me this morning. You see, the Dangote Refinery is end-to-end a very composite, comprehensive refinery. You know, one of the largest in the world, one of the most modern in the world. It was built to take different products at different levels, starting from the base one, which is the crude oil, then intermediate feedstocks, ultimately to bring out the key products Nigeria that use, which are PMS Petrol, and then of course diesel, AGO as we know mostly. Now the basic product is input is crude oil. Now people, I think but you can take intermediates, what they call feedstocks, like semi-processed products, not petrol. And that's what's happened. Maybe people saw cargoes of these intermediate products, feedstocks coming in, and they thought that, like in the past, what the refineries used to do, as we were told, maybe they were importing finished fuel and selling it to Nigerians. That's what was not happening. The refinery is conceived to take crude oil as the base product, and at different stages, things like naphtha, who are intermediate feedstock, to process them ultimately into PMS and maybe AGO, which is diesel. That's what has happened. Dangote Refinery has not been importing fuel to come and sell to Nigerians. No, that is not the fact.
Okay, so I'm looking at we talk about analytical methods that could be used to distinguish between misleading claims and factual performance in complex industries such as petrol refining, with so many products there, with so many base raw materials, intermediate materials, then we talk about finished products and all of that. Do you have a little bit of that? You're dipping into the world of oil more these days, so it's going to be a little bit heavy. Talk to me.
Yes, the thing is that when we hear about refinery, the two most prominent products Nigerians know are the petrol, which slang PMS, premium motor spirit, and then of course the diesel. There are other products that come out, from the processing of the petrol in the refinery, and that's what's happened. So there are so many other products that come out from the processing of crude oil, and again the refinery has been conceived to also take intermediate feedstocks and ultimately process them along the line into petrol also, or even the diesel. That's what has been happening, and so. If you don't have a technical understanding of how a refinery operates, you might misunderstand it. And I think the onus rests a lot on the Dangote communication people to educate people more about the processes of refinery production. Refining. I do recall that in those younger days, my engineering days, we used to do excursion and things like that. I believe that starting from the press people and other stakeholders, there's more education required to let people know what's happening there. But be that as it may,
yes.
There are a lot of people also who I can tell you this thing. See, Dangote refinery has been a spoiler. Has been a spoiler. You see, I'm involved in the banking system. I know so many people who have been importing finished products into the country, whose business have been, decimated because of the coming on stream of Dangote Refinery.
Yes.
And a lot of banks also have some loans they have given out. Businesses have come to a standstill. So a lot of people are not happy. A lot of people have profited from the old order, but Nigeria is happy that this is happening. Let's see, Bosun,
yes.
For the first time in a long time, we went through a Christmas period, Bosun, without fuel problems, petrol problems, fuel queues, whatever.
It looks like the second year in a row.
That Dangote Refinery has contributed. Also the refinery has contributed so much to the increase in our reserves, because they have saved us a lot of foreign exchange.
I agree with you. $120 billion is what Africa spent every year to import petrol products to 54 countries on the continent. That's a whole lot. But I'm going to just give you, maybe you just write a book you're a banker, you're an engineering student, you're on television. Write a book. Why they hate Dangote? Just write that book and maybe some of the things you mentioned. But let's talk about why they hate Dangote. Let's talk about the IMF projecting Nigeria's GDP at $334 billion for this year. We were close to $500 billion a few years ago. Then we fell sharply to just around the middle of 250, 280. Now the IMF says we're going back to 336, beating Algeria. Sounds like AFCON.
Bosun, I mean, this is like you have been coming first in your class for a long time, and then some things happened. You said you came fourth, and now look at we are celebrating that finally we're coming up again. We're coming third now. Third, I mean, this is we that used to be number one in Africa, but. Good for us that that's happening, and it has been ascribed to a lot of policies that have happened in the Nigerian economic space, which includes the liberalization of the foreign currency, the deregulation of the withdrawal of the subsidies, and other macroeconomic initiatives in the country that have assisted even in the improvement in the oil production and oil industry. Now, but you see, Bosun, what has given this positivity? The regrowth in our GDP. The flaws with GDP. Bosun is like in your community, in your town, that suddenly the wealth in your town has increased, but the increase is only in the hands of the rich people. The poor people are still there. Poor will remain poor with us. So so even if we celebrate this movement from fourth to third, we still have so many things to deal with in Nigeria.
Yes, we need to
we used to talk about the bottom of the pyramid before, but it's no longer just the bottom of the pyramid. It's even the middle level, middle income people. People have been almost grounded, and Nigeria, the people in the poverty circle have increased. So let me not be political here, but each time that we ask our president and say, you told us that when you withdraw subsidy, things will happen better for us, more money for us. He will tell us that he's giving it to the subnational governments. We should ask our governors, we should ask our local governments. Yeah, but see, what do we see? We would have thought that with this so much money,
One of the things we need to see that Mr. President tied to subsidy removal was infrastructure. And that brings us to this closure of tax credit for road infrastructure, the likes that made Dangote Flamis did a few things in Lagos and repaired the Apapa Ibadan Highway, whatever, out of the port, as it were. And that's going to shift now. What happens to long-term infrastructure? Government wants everything to go through appropriation process.
We understand, even with the Nigerian Revenue Service, the reason they have given, which is good. We have to follow the Constitution. But we are saddened by the fact that, let me tell you what used to happen in Nigeria. You have a road project. The government awards a contract, 60 billion road project. And every year they will appropriate, say, 10 billion to that road from the budget. And then what happens is out of the 10 billion, knowing what happens in Nigeria, maybe out of the 10 billion, only 5 will actually be released. So a 60 billion naira contract, every year they will bring maybe 5 billion or 8 billion. That's why you see a lot of road projects that drag for years. What this tax scheme did for us, we suddenly found out that roads can be completed on time. You see all the projects done by the Dangote group, the MTN group, even the NNPC group, the roads they did. You find solid roads completed on time. But you see a lot of the roads being done by the government, because of the appropriation year by year in small bits, so we're going to lose by this while we're complying with the Constitution of Nigeria or the laws of Nigeria. I respect the law, but you remember when the private sector is driving this process?
Yes.
The project monitoring is better. Funding is better and faster.
We're
going to lose all.
Because we said we want PPP, by the way. We said we want PPP, public-private partnership. Now we're moving back from that, back to the bureaucracy of appropriations. But let's see how this goes well for us. Maybe we just try it. Law is made for man and man not for law, as he said. But let's leave it there for today. Thank you so much. Out of our Abuja studios, we appreciate that so much. Our business analyst Chika Mbonu joining us from there to discuss some of these key issues.